We're going to introduce you to Sarah Jones, not the actual Sarah Jones, but a film that she's very kindly made, especially for us to show you today. She is from Full Circle Funerals. And Full Circle Funerals was started by Sarah because she believed that planning a funeral was not just something that you get through, and that with the right support, it can be a powerful and positive experience. She wanted to enable friends and family to take control by offering genuine choices in a safe and welcoming environment. They are compassionate people first and funeral directors second. Full Circle is a female-led company, and their backgrounds are in health, social and pastoral care, which mean that they have plenty of experience with which to help people work out what might be helpful for them while making funeral arrangements, and of course on the day itself. Their priority is to ensure that they give the best possible personalised support to every individual they meet. However, they also work hard to contribute to improving the well-being of every bereaved person. They do this by running educational programs, leading funeral research in partnership with academics from various universities, and they produce a funeral self-help book which raises awareness about funeral choices, continuing bonds, and bereavement support. So I would like now to play you a short film, as I said, made especially by Sarah for Lifting the Lid, and it's going to explain to you why she wrote that funeral guide.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Jones. I'm a funeral director at Full Circle Funerals. So we are a funeral director based in Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, and we would describe ourselves as modern funeral directors. And as a funeral director, who's really emphasised on trying to support people's well-being, both before, during and after they need to make funeral arrangements. So this super short video is just a little bit of an explanation about a book that I first wrote in 2018 called Funerals Your Way. I want to tell you a little bit about why the book exists and what I hope it does and to whom I hope it might be helpful. And then hopefully that will be at least a little bit interesting. Or it might also help you to identify times where it might be a helpful resource either for you or for somebody that you know. So the reason it exists is that in 2018, in May, I supported a lady to arrange her mum's funeral. She lived quite far away, but she came up to make arrangements for her mum. And she created a funeral. We went through the process as we normally did by providing information, sharing some ideas, and hopefully creating a space that allowed her to work out what would be best for her and her family and friends. Then after the funeral, she went back home and she contacted me again in the October because unfortunately her father had died and she needed to come back and make arrangements for his funeral. So again, we started making arrangements and I supported her through the process. And during the arrangement process, she said something along the lines of, I took everything that I learnt when I was arranging my mum's funeral and I told some of my friends about that, and they've used that learning and applied it to funerals that they have created, and it's really helped them. And I thought, gosh, isn't that amazing that actually a small amount of information sharing has actually resulted in people really quite distant from me feeling more empowered, more in control, and better able to make choices that helped them. And I thought that that was really powerful. And she used the phrase like ripples on a pond. And I thought, well, isn't that true? So I thought, well, actually, all I did really is I went through the decision-making process with her in the way that we would support anybody who needed our help to arrange a funeral. And it occurred to me that it wouldn't be too tricky to put that down into a book. So I'd be the first to admit that I'm no writer. I am not. English was definitely not my best subject at school, but it wasn't really too tricky just to put down on paper the support and the options and the choices that we would share with families as we see them face to face. So Funerals Your Way, the first edition, this is the second, but the first edition was created, and I self-published that in October 2018. And self-publishing, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, basically means that it's available on Amazon and as an ebook on Kindle, but it can't be sold anywhere else. So I put it on Amazon. I didn't really know how it would land, but it has been lovely because I've had lots and lots of emails from lots of people who have said, actually, do you know what? They picked it up at a time that they really needed to. It was really helpful. And it really supported them to feel more in control and better able to create a funeral that was helpful for them. It's designed to be helpful, I guess, in 3 ways. The first is if somebody wants to express their own wishes. It has specifically at the end of every chapter, it has some boxes. And the idea is that you would use those boxes to maybe jot down some thoughts that you've had, some things you'd like to remember, or some choices that resonated with you. So it would help people who want to express their own wishes. It hopefully also gives people the language that they need if they want to have a conversation with someone close to them. So it might help them to think of particular ways to raise a question, talk to somebody close to them about what their funeral wishes might be if they're struggling to find the right words to do that. And the third place where I hope it's helpful is for people who need to arrange a funeral at need. It's got, it is a book, so it has a spine, but it's a relatively quick read, and the idea is that it's something that people should be able to pick up and skim through in a relatively short space of time. So it is practical for people to do that at the start of making funeral arrangements. So then over the course of the years, I had some feedback from people, some suggested improvements, which I very much welcome. And of course, I learned, and we learned, particularly through the pandemic. So I was sort of ready to write the second edition towards the middle of this year, and then was really lucky to be approached by a publisher who suggested that they may be able to publish the second edition. So that is what I have here, the second edition. So, made the table wobble, sorry. So there are, a lot of the core information is the same, but has additional chapters now about green funerals and sustainability. There's a lot more information about funerals in the digital age because, of course, we've all been on a really significant learning curve during the pandemic about how to use technology as constructively as possible to enable people to still create really meaningful funerals and for people to be able to access them. And there are also a lot more information and additional chapters about how to support well-being after bereavement. So some really quite broad ideas and more specific ideas about continuing bonds, how people can engage in ritual to have an ongoing relationship with somebody after they have died, and also more general well-being in the hope that that will share some ideas which might resonate with people, either for themselves or ideas that they could share with people around them when they have experienced loss or bereavement. So a few things to mention. It is sort of designed really for somebody who intends to use the services of a funeral director, but it would hopefully be equally helpful if you wanted to arrange a funeral yourself without professional services of a funeral director. Hopefully the ideas and the structure would still resonate. I am based in the UK, and so a lot of the kind of structural parts are based on UK funeral practice. So, for example, how cremation and crematoria work here and how burial works here. So if you're reading this from abroad, and actually the first edition was bought by quite a lot of people in America and Canada in particular, then the feedback says that actually there's still an awful lot which is very helpful because it shares ideas about creating ritual and meaning and personalization, and but some of it, the specifics about kind of UK crematoria and things will be slightly less applicable. So just a note of caution if you're not in the UK and you're thinking about picking it up. So the only other thing to say is that all proceeds are donated to charity. This book was never about making money. it was about trying to put some accessible information out into the world for people to pick up at a time that hopefully it will help them. So the proceeds are donated to charity. Every year I choose a new charity. So this year it's a charity called the Swan Song Project, which I would encourage you to take a little peek at. They're a Yorkshire-based charity, and they support people with to write songs. So either because they are at end of life, or because they've experienced a bereavement, and they support people to write songs and then create music. And either the individual themselves is part of actually performing that, or the charity can provide musicians to do that for them. And I know that the people who use their services find that incredibly helpful and powerful, and it's a really important part of their legacy. So yeah, so if you do end up getting a copy, then you'll be supporting Swan Song in the process. So if you would like one, it's available on Amazon still. It's available on any global, online, or local bookstore. So the majority of them will need to order it, but if you would like a copy, you contact your local bookstore and they should be able to get you one. I would always encourage feedback. As I said, I'm not a writer, I'm just trying to put something helpful out for people to get the information that might help them. So if you do read it and you have some comments or suggested improvements, please do get in touch. You can do that by emailing me. So my email is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, @fullcirclefunerals.co.uk. And our website, if that's helpful, is fullcirclefunerals.co.uk. And please do get in touch, because I would love to know what you thought. And I hope you have really enjoyed the whole conference, Lifting the Lid experience. And hopefully I will meet some of you if I haven't already. Take care. Bye.